Hey everybody, it's Cale with the Faith Explained Institute coming at you again with another video in our Easter evidence series. Remember, we're looking at minimal historical facts that virtually all scholars agree upon, whether they're believers or not. Put them all together, it makes a great case for the resurrection of Jesus. Today we're looking at the resurrection appearance of Jesus to James, and it's mentioned in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 7. This is not, by the way, the apostle James, okay, the son of Zebedee. This is the James who is known as, quote, the brother of the Lord. And of course, in the New Testament, it mentions brothers and sisters of Jesus. That does not mean, by the way, that they are other children of Mary. We believe in the perpetual virginity of Mary as Catholics. This doesn't conflict with that at all. That's another video for another day. But suffice it to say, he is probably a relative of Jesus. And in Mark chapter 3, we see that James is probably included in this group of people close to Jesus, probably relatives, who want to seize him and take control of him. They think he's out of his mind. They certainly don't think he's the Messiah at that point. If you read John chapter 7, they're almost mocking Jesus. Hey, when are you going to go to Jerusalem and do some miracles there? Come on, if you're really the Messiah, go for it. I'm paraphrasing here, of course. This is not an official translation, but you get the point. Prior to the resurrection, it seems that James and maybe some of these others are almost hostile towards Jesus and what he's doing. But what changes? Well, after the resurrection, according to the Corinthian Creed, Jesus appears to James, speaks to him, and that was definitely enough to convince him. He then becomes the leader eventually of the church in Jerusalem. After Peter goes on to Antioch and to Rome, James takes over as the bishop of Jerusalem, as it were. He's all over the Acts of the Apostles, the letter to the Galatians of St. Paul. Paul actually makes sure to report to James of his apostolic activities when he goes to Jerusalem. He writes the letter a tribute to his name, to the letter of James in the New Testament. So he becomes a pretty convinced believer of Jesus. He even gives his life for Jesus. In AD 62, he is stoned to death. And again, there's kind of a kangaroo court convened by the Sanhedrin. Josephus tells us about this, the Jewish historian. Very similar to the kangaroo court that condemned Jesus as well. And so he became a martyr for his Lord, who he obviously has been convinced is alive, risen from the dead. So that's another piece of the puzzle, the conversion of James. He's such a fascinating personage in the early church. And I hope you've enjoyed this little look into his life. And I hope it spurs you on to learn more about him. For the Faith Explained, I'm Cale Clark.